Hey everybody, Surfing 451 here. Welcome back to another episode of Weeb Warriors. On a Wednesday instead of Tuesday. Well, let's just say that after a 5 hour long stream with my buddy Jay, check out his Twitch if you haven't already. But anyway, let's actually just get right into the business with Moriarty the Patriot, Episode 10, The Two Detectives, Act 1, where basically Holmes and Watson have a falling out in an argument after the events of solving the Driver case, where Holmes feels like he is being wasted on these small cases, and after hearing about a case in York that an aristocrat died, which ended up being like a regular death, and feeling like he went on a wild goose chase, the very pissed off Holmes finally had that argument, like I mentioned, and he and Watson kind of split off into various different parts of the train. But this led to Holmes running into Moriarty and his brother Lewis, and Holmes finally has his moment with Moriarty with the famous "Catch me if you can, Mr. Holmes," in all of its English glory. But with that being said, we end up finally getting the case for this episode, which is that someone was murdered in the train and Watson was stabbed. How will they react after knowing the identity of the mastermind, I wonder. But enough of Moriarty. Let's go with Talent on episode 11, The Invisible Blade, part 2. The investigation for this particular episode begins as Onodera grills everyone that was a part, like, in the general vicinity. Three gentlemen and Mogura were in the next room. They could have heard the murder, but that was not the case. Then we're introduced to the prime suspect, the victim's girlfriend, Fuko, who can manipulate the atmosphere. Sorry. In basic terms, she can manipulate the wind. But with that, Nana was was kind of a second fiddle to Onodera in this episode, for the most part. And she had a falling out with Michiru, which led to her finding Michiru almost killing herself in the bathtub, which that was how the episode ended. And we also get more interactions with her and Jin, this delightfully evil bastard. But I will say one thing, is that Nana is really put in a very precarious situation lately. And with the next episode being the third part to this particular story, I cannot wait to see how this all ends. It's been a fun ride with Talentless Nana, and I want to know what's going to happen next. And let's move on next to Danmachi Season 3, Episode 11, where our various members of the Hestia Familia are engaged in their various modes of combat. And for the most part, Bell runs into Wine with Haruhime, and he gets into a couple fights with Ainz. And Weena did something really incredible. Upon ripping off her own fingernails and wing, she pretty much walled Ainz to near like shock and disbelief. Who knew the little Missy had it in her? In a lot of the fights where we have other familia members that are members of other familias like Aisha, Ryu, and Tsubaki coming in to help, were really great. I loved those interactions with a good majority of the cast, so. And the cliffhanger with the notebook, and the fact that we have all of the Xanos safe, that is, like, my favorite part, honestly. But, let's move on to another show that I'm really enjoying, Jujutsu Kaisen, where we finish up the fight between Nanami and Mojito. And that was pretty wild. And then we have more interactions between Yuji and Junpei. But the episode ends with Junpei's mom getting killed by a curse. And he goes off the deep end and attacks his school. And that's how that particular episode ended. But I love the interactions that Yuji had with Junpei. The show has been really good. And I'm surprised that it's not as popular as I want it to be. I'm sure it's popular, but I would like it to be more popular, to be honest with you. And from the craziness that was Jujutsu Kaisen, we go to Tonikawa, episode 11. Where we focus primarily on more slice of life stuff between Nasa and Tsukasa, finding old gaming systems, Chitose coming in, causing a ruckus at the bathhouse, and everyone having a takoyaki party where they played nothing but Street Fighter. And Aya, being like an idiot savant when it comes to gaming, showed her like Flex Modia style skills with Street Fighter V, and then classic Street Fighter, where her and Tsukasa kind of reconcile and end up being friends. It is the most hilarious goddamn thing I have ever seen, and I love it. It had me laughing. And the various character interactions and the maids just being themselves was just amazing. God, I love this show. And then finally, let's go to Noblesse episode 10, where we primarily focus on the younger brother of the head of a noble clan, Rao, trying to pick up Sarah, and I mean that in figurative and literal sense. Literal in the sense that, hey, I'm here to take you back to the homeland, because I love you and whatnot, bitch. And figurative because he wants to like be the sleazy pickup artist and like get her to like fuck him or whatnot. Not like in that way. He says, "Then I love you, Sarah. Why do you like run away from me like a fucking sad boy?" Regis isn't gonna have any of it, but he got his ass whooped. M21 got shanked by this man, and that led to KO and Bullcut Bro pretty much like beside themselves, like, we couldn't do anything, we kind of fucking suck. Frankenstein, can you help us out? And speaking of the man, Frankenstein and Sarah engaged in a small battle with Rao, where Frankenstein said, "Kid, you ain't shit. I fought your brother. You ain't nothing without the soul weapon." So they brought out the soul weapons, and it got fucking wild. But thanks to what looks like a Gia scroll, Roll said, "Hey, you fucking leave with me, Sarah. The Lord said so." Which led to everybody involved with our main group, including Raziel, saying, "Yep, we're going to Lucandonia, and we're gonna whip ass." I'm like, fucking sweet. Let's do it, fam. Let's kick some ass. And finally, back in other sort of crazy anime news that happened within the past week or so, I would have to say a couple things happened. Sony bought Crunchyroll, so Funimation has access to Crunchyroll again. And a VTuber got banned and just came back. The Phoenix has returned, and I'm happy for it. I know this bit of news is kind of late to the party, and another mangaka passed away, which is very saddening to hear. But in the grand scheme of things, not to say it like that anyway. Not to say that their death was like meaningless. They had an accomplished amount of work. I mean, the article that I saw that they were an artist for an Ultraman manga, which was pretty good. I mean, never. Listen here, folks. What I can say is that I have yet to see anything Ultraman related, but I'm very curious to see it. And those who draw manga for it, or have done so in the past, I have nothing but mad respect for. So, anyway, this has been Serpentine451. Check out my Instagram, my Twitter, when I actually post shit, and other stuff. Also, check out Jay's Twitch if you haven't done so already, or you came from there. Hi, bros. I'm a co-host there. I do the character readings with him. We have nothing but fun parties. You get to hear me make all sorts of, like, wild jokes. Like I did in this most recent stream. But, until then, I'll catch you guys next time. Later.